Okay, we have Jurriaan Maessen. I think I've pronounced that correctly.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. I first came across your explosive reports when you started writing about eugenics. I think I possibly saw a couple of articles before that, but the one on eugenics was kind of something I'm very interested in myself, and I've been reading up about it for a number of years now. And we were having a brief chat there and saying you have to get away from this stuff sometimes because it's very, very depressing. I mean, how did you first come into that kind of subject area?
I came onto the subject through reading through UN documents and UNESCO documents. In the first instance on quite other grounds. I just want to find out about the environmental movement and its origins and all of that. And you automatically anyone who does that automatically rolls into that depopulation agenda material. Which is being presented under all sorts of guises. So after a while you don't search for population control, but you search for the guises under which this program is being executed. These guises are usually euphemisms, so they're statements that cover up the real meaning, I have learned. Well, that's how I rolled into that dirty material.
Well, of course, if you look at UNESCO, then you come across Julian Huxley. It's not a stretch from there, and you're into Brave New World, and we're very much nearly at Brave New World now. When you see the kind of the stuff that's on television, the promiscuity, the breakup of families, it's just everybody for everybody, as the saying goes in the movie and the book. And of course, Julian Huxley's brother Aldous wrote a sequel to that book called Brave New World Revisited, which was the factual one. And then you read that and you go, my God, the guy meant it. He meant it. You know, it's not just a piece of drama or a piece of literature or whatever. And over the past year and a half, we've seen more stuff coming on the BBC talking about, oh, well, the elderly are a burden to society. And this is slowly crept into the mainstream, and they're getting people used to it. And of course, I'm not sure if you're aware, in this country we have something called the Liverpool Care Pathway, which is, you've heard of that, yeah? Yeah, so we have already the euthanasia element, as shown in Soylent Green, I suppose. The end scene in Soylent Green, you just go off and it's all fluffy and nice, we play nice music, but when you gotta go, you gotta go. And in that movie, of course, you're allowed to choose when you went. But the way it's going now, it's going to be more like Logan's Run, where you get to 30 years old and it's time to go, you're going, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, exactly, and what you said, Julian Huxley, is very interesting. Good to point that out, because Julian Huxley is not only the founder, let's say, one of the founders of UNESCO, one of the first heads of UNESCO, openly pushing eugenics. As it is called, eugenics, as a way to move towards for the UNESCO by programming or education. So that's the speciality, science and educations of UNESCO. It's kind of a separate entity from the other UN entities in some way, because it has like an own history. Julian Huxley also, incidentally, with Prince Bernhard, the founder of Bilderberg, they both founded the World Wildlife Fund, which was in the first, which is a a conservationist movement. In name, but they were both proclaimed eugenicists, and they also proclaimed that the environmental movement must be used in some way under cover of which a depopulation agenda may be more easily sold after Hitler, because eugenics was discredited after Hitler as a rather rude form, let's say, and so it had to move under other principles, other guises.
And of course, Julian Huxley was very much involved in Planned Parenthood as well, yes, in its early days, along with Sanger and now, and to the modern age, Bill Gates, and his father, who was the founder member with Sanger. And when Bill Gates gets up on a stage at a TED conference and says he's going to reduce the population by 10 to 15% with vaccines, and he says that's reproductive health care, then people should put two and two together, and it still makes four. And they should actually understand that he is talking about actively reducing population through the use of vaccination.
Exactly, and I mean this open statements, especially by foundations which are not governmental per se, but it's a shady area, of course. So the government, the non-governmental organizations, the foundations like the Rockefeller Foundation, Ford Foundation, you name them, and of course nowadays increasingly the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, fund these projects into being, not just in the States but everywhere. And you see, moving in concerted effort towards the same goals. Perhaps being discussed at Bilderberg. We don't know this. That's the issue with Bilderberg. We don't know what's being discussed. But from their own documents, from their fruits, you will know the tree.
Of course, Bill Gates is rumoured to be in London at the moment, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's shuttled in by helicopter or some other means. Possibly, I don't know, the tunnels that go under this place or whatever. Jetpack, yeah. I hope it fails. But there is a no-fly zone. Maybe somebody will shoot him down. But who knows? Yeah. But talking about the foundations, we had I can't remember the guy's first name, Warmer's book, the Foundations of Power and Influence, and the Rees Commission went to expose the Rockefellers and the Carnegies for funding all this, mainly the education system that they were talking about at the time, and it was they were actively bringing in the kind of communistic socialised system of education, and all this environmental stuff was actually getting pushed in back then in the 50s, 60s, whenever that was, and here we are. We've got young adults, say 18, 19, 20-year-old, and I've spoken to some of these people and I say, are you planning on having children? Oh, no, I'll adopt one from Africa. And you think, well, where did that come from? What happened to your natural, to put it crudely, breeding instinct? What happened to you, you know?
Well, that natural breeding instinct is being programmed out of people in a very gradual, incremental way, because that's the key. You don't just come out with this information head on, but you just do it incrementally, and you use those guys like for the earth, right? Who's against the earth? Women's rights. I mean, no-brainers like that are being used to sell this agenda. Philanthropy. That's what these foundations call themselves, philanthropic, bodies of influence, but a huge influence, more than many governments.
Of course, it's I think it's Lenin and possibly Stalin as well said we will win by slogans. And when you talk to these people, all you get is a slogan coming back. It's a meaningless few words stuck together in a way that suggests it's all fluffy and nice.
It almost has to be a pretext in order to get these things done. It's never under a real situation. That's why you see, especially with the environmental thing, the real problems. There are actual and real problems to the environment, like half of the ocean is filled up with plastic, or Amazon rainforest being cut down at an alarming pace, which you can also counter by using hemp for a lot of products, for example. But that doesn't really happen. It's global warming, and especially global warming is the most dubious branch of those, of that science. And that's very interesting. Why do they use the most dubious one? Because you need a false pretext to do this. It's a rule book. Use the lie.
The global warming thing, of course, they could attach it to CO2, which is something that we need. We need CO2. We need more of it, actually. I mean, I don't know if there are environmentalists here. I know there are, and they're caught into this global warming, climate change nonsense. And if I was to turn around and ask them, do you want to see this beautiful field golf course turn brown? Then take all the CO2 out there, and you'll see it very rapidly. I mean, is that what you want to happen to the Earth? And they wouldn't have the answer.
Right, and you have a lot of well-intentioned people, really genuinely caring for the earth, not knowing that the foundations who really push this, who put a lot of money behind it, have other motives in mind. So it's really tragic and sad, because they really do genuinely, usually care for the earth. So it's,
I mean, of course, it's the Club of Rome that came out with the philosophy of, well, climate change, famine, flood will fit the bill, and they made the whole thing up. English is English. You read it as an English sentence. They fit the bill means they made it up. And of course, the Rockefellers heavily involved in the Bilderberg, and also funding foundations and all this change. Change is good, but what change? What change? Nobody asked the question, what change? I suppose we'll cut it off there, because we've got a lot of little interviews to do, and just going to piece them all together for the day. Your final words on, I suppose, on a positive note, how can we turn this around and start people thinking about, actually, what are they actually saying when these phrases come out, that, it's to save the earth, there's too many people. Because, I mean, it's a simple arithmetical calculation for the surface area of the earth and how many people, that there's plenty of room for anybody. Anybody who's been up in an aeroplane and flies across from here to India or Asia and flies over and see all the empty lands, I mean, it's obvious there's plenty of space for everybody.
Right, and even people who do care would think that the earth is overpopulated. If you make a case for that, sure, but you don't. You do it by industrialization, if you really believe that. I mean, Europe, heavily industrialized, is dying. I mean, and you see China now reverse, and it's not due to the one-child policy. A recent study has found the one-child policy didn't really have a very strong effect on the demographic trends of China, for example. It is industrialization in the first place. People not taking 7 children because they don't have to rely on them per se, especially in the towns and the cities. So even if you care, even if you believe the myth, forcibly or indirectly depopulating it through all kinds of measures is inherently evil, and it's not necessary, even if you want to reduce the human population friendly or in a benign way.
And it's not a natural process for human evolution, for want of a better word. We need to procreate to carry on the human race, and that's it.
Human condition is the natural condition on which humans function, because we're standing here because our parents were doing that. So I mean, it's very simple. And when you ask me on a positive note, what do you see it going towards the future? I think the alternative media, if you can say that word, because it's already a collective name like the mainstream media, but alternative media is distinctive in the fact that it has all kinds of opinions, contradicting each other, sometimes complementing each other, but it's very diverse. It's biodiverse, you could call it. It's like nature itself, and that, I think, is its strength. We don't need to agree with each other all the time, because there's all kinds of opinions. Just do the research, and everybody being a journalist, everybody being involved, having a blog, the simplest thing. Don't look for answers outside yourself. Do it yourself if you want. If you don't, you don't. I mean, it's a natural process, but let that natural process evolve of people, speaking out. Don't become a collective like the mainstream monolith.
And of course, if we do that, to use that, how should we say it, their own terminology, it's definitely going to be sustainable, because it'll grow and grow and grow.
Right.
Exactly.
Sustainable biodiversity, right?
Thank you very much, sir. Cheers. Thank you. Cheers.